Welcome back Auto Reviews. Today we're stepping into a different kind of horsepower, the kind that doesn't just live on four wheels but takes to the skies at speeds most cars can't even dream of. We're talking about American fighter jets, the engineering marvels that represent not only cutting-edge technology but also staggering costs. When people talk about fighter jets, they often imagine the F-22 Raptor or the F-35 Lightning II, but the United States has a deep and complex lineup of aircraft, each with its own performance profile, history, and price tag. What I want to do today is give you a detailed review of these jets, breaking down how they perform in real-world scenarios, how they compare with each other, and the sometimes shocking numbers behind what it takes to put one of these birds in the air. Let's start with the F-22 Raptor. This aircraft is often considered the crown jewel of U.S. air superiority, the first fifth-generation fighter, designed with stealth in mind from the very beginning. Performance-wise, the Raptor is still unmatched in many categories, even though it was introduced in the mid-2000s. It can supercruise, meaning it can fly at supersonic speeds without using afterburners, which conserves fuel and gives it an advantage in long-range engagements. Its agility, thanks to thrust vectoring nozzles, allows it to perform maneuvers that no other operational jet can match. The downside? It's unbelievably expensive. Each F-22 cost over $150 million to build, and that doesn't even include the cost of long-term maintenance. Keeping one Raptor airworthy for a year can cost millions more, and that's one reason why production was capped at less than 200 aircraft. The United States realized it had built something extraordinary, but also something it couldn't afford to buy in huge numbers. Now compare that to the F-35 Lightning II, which has become the workhorse of the new generation. Unlike the F-22, which is purely an air superiority fighter, the F-35 was designed with multi-role capability. It comes in three versions: the F-35A for the Air Force, the F-35B with short takeoff and vertical landing for the Marine Corps, and the F-35C designed for carrier operations in the Navy. The F-35 isn't as nimble as the Raptor, nor as fast, but what it lacks in raw aerodynamic performance it makes up for with advanced avionics, stealth coatings, and its sensor fusion system that allows pilots to have unmatched situational awareness. That's really its key advantage: it sees the enemy before the enemy sees it. As for price, early production models were infamous for being way over budget, with unit costs pushing close to $200 million each. But as production ramped up and supply chains matured, the cost per jet has come down significantly. Today, the F-35A version hovers around $80 million per aircraft, which actually makes it cheaper per unit than the older F-22. Of course, the real costs come later, because maintaining stealth coatings, replacing components, and software updates add billions to the lifetime expense. Performance is always measured in context. The F-22 will win a dogfight 9 times out of 10, but dogfights are rare in modern combat. The F-35's ability to network with drones, satellites, and other aircraft means it can operate as a force multiplier, guiding missiles fired from other platforms and controlling the battlespace in ways older jets simply cannot. That's why the Pentagon is so invested in making the F-35 the backbone of the fleet. But the US doesn't just have shiny new 5th-gen fighters. The workhorses of the past still play a huge role. The F-15 Eagle, for example, is a 4th-generation fighter introduced in the 1970s. You'd think it would be obsolete by now, but the F-15 has proven so adaptable that it's still in production today, in upgraded variants like the F-15EX. The F-15 has one of the most successful combat records of any fighter, with more than 100 air-to-air kills and 0 losses in dogfights. Its twin-engine design gives it excellent thrust-to-weight ratio, and while it's not stealthy, it can carry a massive payload. The F-15X version, which the Air Force is now buying, can carry more weapons than any other fighter in the U.S. arsenal. It's essentially a bomb truck that can also dogfight. The price tag for an F-15EX? Around $90 million per aircraft, so not far off from the F-35, but with fewer long-term headaches in terms of maintenance. Then there's the F-16 Fighting Falcon, often called the Viper by pilots. This lightweight, single-engine fighter was originally designed as a cheaper, more maneuverable counterpart to the heavier F-15. Over 4,600 F-16s have been built, making it one of the most widely produced fighters in history. Even today, modernized versions are still being produced for allies, and the US still flies a large number of them. Performance-wise, the F-16 is incredibly agile, with a bubble canopy that gives pilots amazing visibility. While it doesn't have the stealth or the sensors of an F-35, it's cheap and effective. A new build F-16 today costs around $30 to $40 million, a fraction of the cost of newer jets. That's why so many countries buy them, because it's a proven platform that doesn't bankrupt a defense budget. And of course, the Navy's F/A-18 Hornet and its upgraded version, the Super Hornet, are the backbone of carrier aviation. The F/A-18 is multi-role, designed for both air-to-air and ground attack missions. It's not as fast or glamorous as the F-15 or F-22, but it's reliable, rugged, and capable of operating from an aircraft carrier deck, which is no easy feat. The Super Hornet costs around $65 million each, which makes it more affordable than the F-35C, but with fewer stealth advantages. Still, the Navy relies heavily on them, and they'll continue flying alongside F-35Cs for years to come. When you start comparing performance and prices across these jets, you begin to see a trade-off. Stealth and next-gen capabilities don't come cheap, and often reliability suffers when you're pushing the edge of technology. For example, the F-22's readiness rate, the percentage of the fleet that's mission-capable at any given time, has often been below 60%. That means nearly half the fleet can't fly at any given time because of maintenance needs. Older jets like the F-15 or F-16 often have higher readiness rates because they're simpler to maintain. Now, beyond the jets already flying, the United States is developing its next-generation air dominance program, often referred to as NGAD. Details are classified, but reports suggest the NGAD fighter could be a sixth-generation aircraft with even more advanced stealth, adaptive engines, and potentially the ability to control drone wingmen. If the F-22 was expensive, NGAD is expected to be astronomical, with estimates of over $200 to $300 million per aircraft. That's why the Air Force envisions a smaller number of these jets, complemented by cheaper drones that can be built in larger numbers. So, let's talk money, because at the end of the day, performance always comes at a cost. The United States spends more on defense than any other nation, and fighter jets are a huge chunk of that. If you take the F-35 program alone, it's expected to cost more than $1.7 trillion over its entire life cycle, making it the most expensive weapons program in history. That includes not just buying the jets, but also upgrading them, fueling them, and keeping them operational for decades. Compare that to the F-16, which has been flying since the 1970s and has provided decades of service at a fraction of that cost. It raises the question, is all that cutting-edge technology worth the price, especially when older jets still perform admirably in many roles? Performance-wise, it's not just about speed or maneuverability anymore. In modern warfare, it's about who can see first, who can shoot first, and who can integrate data from multiple sources. That's why the F-35, despite being less agile, is considered so dangerous. It can fuse radar, infrared, and electronic warfare data into a single picture, making the pilot far more aware of the battlefield than an opponent in an older jet. That kind of performance can't be measured in top speed or turning radius, but it can decide the outcome of an engagement before the enemy even knows what's happening. Another factor is exportability. The F-22 was never exported, it's only flown by the United States. The F-35, on the other hand, is being sold to allies around the world, from the UK to Japan to Israel. That helps lower costs through larger production runs, but it also means that the US isn't the only country with access to this technology. For allies, buying an F-35 isn't just about having a new jet, it's about being plugged into a global network of sensors and data sharing, which makes coalitions much more powerful in combat. Looking at prices again, one interesting comparison is between fighters and bombers. The B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, for example, cost over $2 billion per aircraft in the 1990s. The new B-21 Raider, expected to roll out soon, will also be in the hundreds of millions per plane. By that standard, even an F-35 looks affordable. But when you consider that you can buy 2 or 3 modern airliners for the cost of a single fighter jet, it gives you a sense of just how specialized and costly these machines are. So, what's the bottom line? The United States maintains the most capable fighter fleet in the world, but it comes at a price. The F-22 is unmatched in performance but limited in numbers because of cost. The F-35 is the future backbone, balancing advanced technology with production scale, though its long-term costs remain staggering. The F-15 and F-16 prove that older designs still have value, offering high performance at a lower price, and upgraded versions keep them relevant even in the 21st century. The F/A-18 remains a vital part of naval aviation, and the upcoming NGAD program promises even more capability at even higher costs. When we review cars, we often weigh horsepower, handling, reliability, and price, and the same logic applies here. Some jets are the Ferraris of the sky, incredible but expensive to own and maintain. Others are more like a high-performance sedan, not as flashy, but capable, reliable, and affordable. The United States has chosen to invest heavily in both, maintaining a mix of cutting-edge stealth and tried-and-true platforms. For taxpayers, it means footing the bill for these marvels of engineering, but for pilots, it means flying the most advanced aircraft in the world. Whether that's worth the price depends on how you measure value: in dollars, in deterrence, or in the ability to dominate the skies when it matters most. And with new programs like NGAD on the horizon, the debate over performance versus cost will only grow sharper. One thing's for sure, the future of American airpower will continue to push the boundaries of technology, and it won't come cheap.